So I'll just give a quick intro. I'm seeing some jazz hands. I love it. I'm loving the enthusiasm. For those who don't know, my name is Pranav Bakaraju. I am the president of the Ontario NDP Riding Association here in Spadina-Fort, York, and fortunate to be working with our MPP, Chris Glover. And it's amazing to see so many, beautiful faces. This what is it, Saturday morning? Time is blurring at this point, but thank you all for joining us here. We have a great agenda coming up. We have some awesome people who are here to talk about Chris and why they're supporting him. Of course, you know that there's going to be a provincial election coming up this June. We're really excited to be launching this campaign. It's going to be an amazing journey, and we're so happy that you're here to share this experience with us. But before we get started or move forward, we want to make sure that we do a land acknowledgement. I'm going to be passing it on to Dr. Elder Bob Phillips. He has known Chris for a number of years. They helped each other finish their PhDs and connected when Chris did his previous job as a school trustee. So I'm just going to pass it off to you, Bob. 1 second here. If you could just unmute.
There we go. Bonjour. Kechimakwa indigenous Kasna Gegandota Migma Anishnabi and Wabanagandonji. As it happens, I'm Mi'kmaq from the East Coast. I was born in New Glasgow, Nova Scotia. And following the Second World War, my dad got a job in Toronto. So I actually grew up in the West End of Toronto, going to the same kind of schools as everybody else. As a result, I understand that here in the Toronto area, we are actually on the traditional lands of a number of indigenous peoples, of the Wendat, of the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, of the Anishinaabe people, of the Mississaugas of the New Credit, and as well of a number of Métis people. On the other hand, I went to Burnhamthorpe Collegiate out in the West End of Toronto, and in grade 12 was thrown right out of the entire school system by my French teacher. And I thought that was because I was stupid. But I have a PhD today, so clearly it wasn't because I was stupid. Why would I have been thrown out? Today, I speak French. I'm fully bilingual in French and Italian and a couple of other languages. So why would I have been thrown out by a French teacher? The only reason that anyone can come up with today is that I was seen as an Indian, and what's an Indian doing in my class? He should be in residential school. Now, fortunately, I ran into Chris Glover a number of years ago and became friends with him. And Chris, as opposed to treating me as a primitive, stupid savage, he began inviting me because he was, in those days, he was the trustee for the out in Etobicoke. And he had me talk in a number of schools about Native culture and language, including Burnhamthorpe Collegiate. And because of that, they ultimately renamed the library the Dr. Phillips Resource Center to encourage people to keep going in spite of what happened. Now, why could that be? It is because Chris Glover, who is now Dr. Chris Glover, actually sees all other people as being equal, including Native people and Tamils and everyone else. And the result is that's why I am here to support him in returning to Parliament. So Chimagwich, Chris, and everyone else, thank you. I'll turn it back over.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that, for those amazing words, Dr. Phillips. I appreciated that. So next, we're fortunate to have Ron Hawkins, who's going to be performing a song for us. Ron is a member of influential Canadian bands, Lowest of the Low and the Do Good Assassins, and has had a 30-year-long career as a singer-songwriter, musician, and has been a visual artist as well as a painter for 20 years. So thank you so much for being here, Ron, and I'll pass it off to you to take it away. You're just going to have to unmute.
Myself. There we go. Hi. So this is a song called Love and Justice. I figured it was pretty pertinent to Chris's campaign. It goes like this. Oh, fate is a snake. I guess love is a ladder. Justice is another matter. A tougher egg to break. make no mistake, through the static and the chatter, the former becomes the latter. Though you feel lonely, you know you're never alone. No, you're never alone. Now, if life is a nail, history is a hammer, the side you're on is what matters. So drive the point of it home. And when the struggle is on, victories and disgraces, you got friends in low places. Hey, they'll beat you up so you know you're never alone. No, you're never alone. No, no, you're never alone. No, you're never alone. It's time to pull a rabbit from a hat or two, 'cause sleight of hand is nothing new. Prestidigitation is the wrecking crew. So keep your heavy hand upon that match and light that fuse. Oh, 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 oh. Hey. Our lives are rise and move on, blood brothers and sisters, philosophers and drifters. The day-to-day dream is gone, 'cause we're like ships in a storm, let loose from their tethers. Rude girls and soul rebels, hey, they got your back, so you know you're never alone. No, you're never alone. Now low, but you're never alone. Now no, oh, you're never alone. Maybe lonely, but you're never alone. Not the only. Oh, you're never alone. No, no, you're never alone. Oh, you're never alone.
Woo, that was amazing. Thank you so much, Ron. I appreciate it. Let's do some jazz hands for Ron as a thanks, because I know we can't all clap here and whatnot. But and on that note, jazz hands for Dr. Elder Bob as well. I think I might have missed that earlier. So thank you, Dr. Elder Bob. Appreciate it. So thanks for setting us up with some great music there, Ron. We're going to see a little bit more from Ron in a little bit, but before that, we're also fortunate to have a couple people here who wanted to say a couple words about Chris and the work that he's done and how they've appreciated him. So I'm fortunate to be introducing Mark Stiles, who is the Member of Provincial Parliament for Davenport, our NDP friends a couple ridings over. And she's also the Ontario NDP's education critic. So I'll pass it over to you, Mark.
Great. Thank you so much. Thanks, Pranav. And it was that was wonderful. Thanks for that wonderful song too. I wanted to just take a couple of minutes because it is really a privilege to be here with all of you on this Saturday afternoon. It's been a real joy and to be asked to be one of the people to speak here at Chris's nomination. For those who don't know, Chris and I think we got to know each other the first time when he was already elected and I was elected as a school board trustee on the TDSB back in 2014. I was elected, I think it was maybe his second go at it. I'm not sure, but he had a lot of experience. I came in not really knowing what I was doing. And Chris was very quickly became one of the people that I turned to for advice all the time. And then in 2018, we had the privilege of being elected together as members of provincial parliament in adjacent ridings. So it's been wonderful to work with Chris over the last 4 years. And I wanted to comment on two things that many people here will know, but I wanted to focus as the official opposition education critic. I found myself leaning on Chris a lot. Chris brings a very deep understanding of the policies and the issues around education. And let me tell you, those are very complex, particularly when you're talking about funding, but also talking about pedagogy. And I think that Chris's history as an educator himself, he always brings that into the work he does at Queen's Park. And there are two other things that I think that Chris brings that are related. One is that deep respect for educators, again, being one himself, their expertise and the importance of that profession, but also the importance of listening, truly listening and learning from the people who are on the front line. And in education, that means education workers, certainly, but it also means students. And it also means parents. And it means the communities that surround our schools. And the third thing I wanted to mention about Chris, and I've really heard it in his comments in the legislature, especially over the last few weeks since he became a grandparent. Congratulations, Chris. But I think it was something that he brought already, which is that understanding of the value and understanding what we are leaving behind, the legacy that we leave. And as legislators, the responsibility we have. And it's a really special one. And Chris has done an extraordinary job in helping to develop and frame new policies in fighting for the things that your community, my community cares about, education, cycling, of course, affordability and housing. But I think that the legacy Chris has brought into the legislature, well, it needs to continue. And I'm really excited about the work that I think Chris can do going forward for his community, but also for the whole province, because I really truly believe we are going to form government on June 2nd. And I'm super excited to see how Chris brings all those amazing qualities to bear in our government as we actually set things right for once in a socially just Ontario at a very important time in our recovery. So congratulations, Chris. I'm just thrilled to be here with you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mart. Jazz hands, please, for Mart Stiles, our education critic and wonderful NDP colleague in the riding of Davenport. Thank you for those kind words. We're going to keep the speakers coming. There's a bunch of people that would like to share some thoughts. Before that, though, we're going to throw a little bit of trivia between questions. I'm going to keep it very simple to start with. You can just respond in the chat. The question is, what is the largest building in Spadina-Fort York? And I'm going to highlight the first person to respond and get this out. And I think it's probably, a relatively easy one. Okay, well, Xavier already responded, so he's very fast at typing too clearly. Xavier just told me the CN Tower, and they are correct. The CN Tower is the largest building within the riding. So great job, Xavier. There will be more questions coming up between the speakers, so don't worry. If you didn't get a chance to respond, you'll get the next one. So I'll pass it off now to Emmy, who is a young professional in Spadina-Fort York in our riding. He's also has volunteered with Chris and our community food program. So Emmy, go ahead.
Thank you so much for the introduction. Hey everybody, my name is Emmy, and as a young professional, I've been hoping to actually save enough money, like all of us, to get a home someday. But slowly, I've been realizing that under the conservative and liberal governments, rent prices have skyrocketed, and home ownership has become completely out of reach for many. And as somebody who also reads news headlines about homelessness every day, I know that over 7,000 people are in the Toronto shelter network every night. And because of Ford's leadership, we've seen a $189 billion housing fund cut, which has entirely exacerbated this situation. And finally, as a Black person, I know that racialized communities are marginalized in many ways because systems of racism and discrimination are among the key drivers that push people into such precarious living situations. But as someone who believes in the potential of our elected officials and democracy at large, I look to Chris Glover because he has been attacking these three issues every day in the legislature. I've listened to a lot of his speeches, discussing his efforts to expand co-op housing as a way to address the affordable housing crisis. I've signed on to a lot of his petitions demanding the Ford government to make it easier to buy a home and to strengthen home buyers' protections. And in our Spadina-Fort York Riding Association meetings, He's been telling us about his efforts to take on greedy billionaires, speculators, and flippers so that the housing market could cool. And I've heard him speak about his efforts to support a for Indigenous and by Indigenous housing strategy as a means to dismantle systemic racism. And on the issue of homelessness, he's also co-launched the Spadina-Fort York Community Care Program, which strives to support our seniors and our neighbors that are living in encampments right now. And he continues to do so in every way possible beyond their network's weekly food and meal kit delivery drives. And that's why today I'm endorsing Chris Glover so that we together can re-elect him so that he can continue to be our member of provincial parliament. Thank you guys. Thank you so much for your time.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Emmy, for all that info. Jazz hands for Emmy. Appreciate it. Thank you for volunteering all these last couple of years. Great to have you here. So as promised, next trivia question. And this was actually mentioned, so this is also a test to see if you're listening. What was Chris's job before he was an MPP? I'll give you like 30 seconds. Okay, Xavier has already answered me directly, and now we got some more coming in. Trustee, someone says school principal. Trustee in Etobicoke is the right answer, and I'll just let people know because I'm getting a lot of hosts. The chat only is set up for direct messages. Our apologies. Well, okay. Well, I will shout out people like Nika, Venkat, Porfi, Heather, John. You all got the right answer, so good for you. Thank you. Anyway, so I'll bring up the next speaker at this point. We have Hollis Pearson, who is part of the early years professional Rise Up group, and I believe is an EC themselves, an early childhood educator, but I'll leave it up to Hollis to talk a little bit about her work with Chris. Oh, gotta unmute here, 1 second.
Thank you so much for the introduction, Pranav, and I'm happy to be here today. I'm a registered early childhood educator who works in the downtown core and a member advocate with the Association for Early Childhood Educators, the Ontario Coalition for Better Childcare, and Early Years Professionals, the Toronto chapter. I reached out to Chris last year to ask for his support in our campaign toward Ontario signing the federal childcare plan. Chris responded with huge solidarity on the issue. He met with ECEs in the Spadina-Fort York riding to hear our concerns. He provided us with current riding statistics concerning family access and operating childcare centers and fee subsidy numbers, which is huge for families right now. He posted our petition to his website and brought forth many of our concerns to the legislature. We completely need Chris Glover and to stay on as a MPP in this riding and to continue the fight on this extremely important issue concerning access to quality universal childcare in Ontario. Thank you, Chris, for your continued support, and you have my vote for Spadina-Fort York.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Hollis. And jazz hands for Hollis. Thank you so much for the amazing work that you're doing advocating for ECEs and the childcare system. We of course know that we should be pushing the government to make a deal with the for $10 childcare. So thank you for what you're doing. And I will jump into another trivia question if you didn't get a chance to answer the others. Again, I will shout you out if you get the answer right for this one. So for those who have been familiar with Spadina-Fort York and the riding for the last little bit, you may know that the name has changed. So I'm just curious if anybody can tell me what the name of this riding used to be before it was Spadina-Fort York. Venkat, Xavier, Norm, John Scully, you're all coming through and you are all correct. The name was Trinity Spadina. Our riding used to be Trinity Spadina for a couple decades, I believe. But we've switched over to Spadina-Fort York since. So it's very interesting. It's one of the fastest growing riding, actually probably is the fastest growing ridings in the country. We have the most condos here in downtown Toronto. So thank you for sharing that. And next, I'm happy to invite Ozma Malik, who is a former Toronto District School Board trustee for Ward 10, which was Trinity Spadina at the time, as well as a community advocate. Thank you so much, Ozma, for being here.
Thank you so much, and good afternoon, everyone. It's so wonderful to see so many friends and familiar faces, and I'm really grateful to be here with you today. And thank you to all of you for being here as well. And that was a perfect trivia question for me. As was mentioned, my name is Asma Malik, and I'm a proud resident of Spadina-Fort, York. And you're absolutely right. They were just continuing to grow and grow. And I was a colleague of Chris's at the Toronto District School Board, where I represented this very community that I love so dearly. And at the time, it was Trinity Spadina. And that's why I can tell you firsthand that I've seen the deep sincerity and seriousness for finding solutions and community-centered approach to that solution building that Chris brings to absolutely every aspect of his work. As a member of provincial parliament, so many folks have mentioned it so far, and I'm sure we each have our own stories too of how he's in tune with the concerns of our fast-growing vertical neighborhoods. And most of all, he's ready to act on that. He's a relentless advocate for parks and public services like the much needed new public schools that we need in our neighborhoods, and a champion for consultation on local development that puts community at the heart of that decision making. And you can count on Chris to be present. If you've just been out and about in the neighborhood, you know that you'll find him at movie nights at Canoe Landing Park. It's already been mentioned here. He'll be there rolling up his sleeves to deliver meals to neighbors in need. And you can count on him to fight for fairness for our city and our province at Queen's Park. And I'm very excited about that. So thank you so much, Chris, and thank you to all of you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for those kind words, Ozma. Jazz hands for Ozma. I'm loving the hands. I think we're all going to be great dancers by the end of this. I don't know if this is good dancing. People say don't dance with your arms, but whatever. Anyways, thank you for all those who just joined and said a couple words about Chris. It's amazing to hear. And as I think Ozma said it wonderfully, to point out that everybody has that type of story, right? Personally, whether you had a chance to share or not. I think we've all had a chance to come across Chris and the work that he does, and that's what brings us all here today. So thank you for being here. As mentioned, we do still have Ron Hawkins, who's around, who's going to be playing one more song for us. So let's give Ron, let's highlight Ron one more time. And Ron just wanted to point out, whether it's his love of Toronto or Ontario, he often writes about the city and province in which he lives. Ron has always been about community building. During the pandemic, he has performed countless online concerts for free, offering a little joy and entertainment and just some normalcy for people during this stressful and isolating time. So thank you, Ron, for doing that for the community. Artists really helped us throughout this pandemic, and you're a testament to that. And thank you for being here as well.
Sure, no problem. Those were called Tommy Douglas Tuesdays, by the way.
Unreal.
This is a song called Permanent Revolution. Well, it's your life, so find your own solution. No strength, no strife, oh, what's it gonna take? The queen is dead, so crown this world a new one. I thought she said, I'll let them all eat cake. I guess it's time for a permanent revolution. Yes, it's time to blow it all away. Good intent, righteous resolutions command the fence, but throw open the gate to parasites and vampire institutions. So seize the day and plant that bloody stake, 'cause it's time for a permanent revolution. Oh, yes, it's time to blow it all away. 10 soldiers, high rollers, big gamblers, take big shoulders. They're day drinking while the empire smolders out. Hey. It's time for a permanent revolution. Seize the day and make your contribution. 'Cause there's no way they're gonna stop this evolution. So don't decline and throw it all away.
Wow, thank you so much, Ron. Jazz hands for Ron, amazing. I mean, music melts my heart, and I'm sure that's the same for many people out here. So thank you for giving some joy for us here today. Really,
Cheers, thank you.
awesome. And you know, I'll just shout out briefly that there's a lot of people here from Etobicoke. I see Chris's parents here, Heather, a former candidate, you know, that we had in the NDP, Norm, our former federal candidate here in Spadina-Fort York. So many volunteers, Yaman, Charles P. from the Riding Association, so many people that I can't name everybody, but thank you again, everybody, for showing up. This is an amazing, you know, time just to get the group together. You know, of course, launching this campaign, it's an important time for us. I'm excited to be sharing that Zane from our riding associations created a video for us. So from the Spadina-Fort York NDP Riding Association, I'd like to share this video that we made for Chris just to launch this campaign. So I'm just going to share my screen right now.
Hi, I'm Teresa Van Frassen.
I'm Doug Van Frassen.
And we'd just like to thank Chris Glover for helping our family in our time of need when we were at our wits' end and we didn't know where else to turn. And he helped us out enormously.
We met Chris and he realized that there was a medication that could have that much of an impact on our young daughter who had this illness. He said, I'm going to do something. I'm going to do everything I can to make this happen. And he made this happen, and we'll be grateful for forever for this.
Hey, how's it going? We're at the St. Lawrence Food Market. We're helping out at the Spadina-Fort York Community Care Program, where we help out seniors and give them supplies and food. Chris Glover has been helping out for the last 2 years and has been a really big helping us with moving supplies around and getting everyone connected. He's a really great guy, and you should definitely realize it.
And since then, we've got hand sanitizer, we've now got food, we've got assistance with the people in the building getting registration for the vaccine. And we're all very, very grateful to Chris Glover for doing that. And I'm pretty sure that everybody in our building is going to vote for Chris Glover in the upcoming election.
Yes, Chris has been very helpful with our community here. He runs the food bank. He's been very helpful.
I live here in Portland Place. I met Christopher Glover from donating food, having to help the neighborhood all over Toronto. Please vote for him. He's quite the chap.
Chris came to my apartment and then they called me for the food bank over here. So I am with them from last 2 years doing food bank. We're doing very well, like about 600 to 700 every Sunday for the homeless people and all.
Hi, I'm Claire.
And I'm Simon.
And we met Chris Glover
Through the food program here at the Spadina-Fort York Community Care Program.
Yeah, over a year ago, and we'd be really excited to work alongside Chris and see a lot of the wonderful work that he does for the community, feeding the hungry every weekend.
Yeah, what he's doing here is great, and we really support it.
Hey guys, how you doing? This is Saab from Frisaka, Mi Casa, Su Casa. That's right, we are a Mexican restaurant, and I'm here doing a video for Chris Glover, and I'm gonna say that I'm very happy he's been nominated. Also let you know that he's been very supportive with this venue, and also when any time that I have a question, he's willing to help. So thank you very much, Chris, and have a beautiful day. All the best. Salute.
He's the first politician we've had down here in 4 years who actually did something concrete for the residents of this district.
Please re-elect Mr. Christopher Glover. Thank you.
Let's everyone re-elect Mr. Chris Glover.
Re-elect Chris Glover.
Re-elect Chris.
Re-elect Chris.
I'm re-electing Chris. So should you.
Awesome. Big shout out for the people in the video and those that helped create it. And with that, I'm excited to present the person that we're all here for, that we're all here to support. I'd like to bring Chris on to say a couple words. So Chris, take it away. Oh, let's just unmute you there.
Thank you so much. Of course, it's the Zoom, right? Thank you so much. And thank you, Zane, for putting that video together. And I want to thank all of the speakers here today and everyone who's being part of this meeting. Especially, I want to start with Elder Bob. Thank you so much for giving the land acknowledgement. It's such an honor to be, have you as a friend, and all the things, to learn all the things that I've learned from you over the past, I think it's about 7 years that we've been friends. We actually helped each other complete our PhDs together. So we're both gray-haired guys, but we both did manage to finish PhD in the last 6 or 7 years. Anyways, I'd also like to do a land acknowledgement because it's incumbent upon us as settlers to acknowledge the land that we're on, which has been the traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee, the Anishinaabe, the Wendat, the Chippewa, and the Mississaugas of the Credit, and to acknowledge their stewardship of this land over countless generations and our responsibility to steward this land into the future. I also want to acknowledge David Smiley. David was the president of the Spadina-Fort York Riding Association for many years. He was an incredible voice, progressive voice in our city and a community builder. And just 6 weeks before he passed, he rode up to that food program with his bicycle trailer full of sandwiches made by the Toronto Islanders. So he was giving to the very end. So thank you so much to anybody who knew David. He was an incredible community builder, and his loss is a great loss for all of us. I also want to thank Pranav and Benna and Nancy for all the work that you do for our community. I want to thank all of the speakers, Merritt, Hollis, Louis, Emmy, and Ausma. Thank you so much for being here. And Shauna Harris is going to be coming up next. I want to acknowledge her directorship of that Spadina-Fort York Community Care Program. It's absolutely phenomenal. It's now feeding 1,500 people a week. And the other thing that I wanted to talk about is, we can't really have a meeting these days without acknowledging what's happening in Ukraine. There's this horrific invasion going on. And there's been, just in the past week, there's 1.2 million people who a week ago had homes and families and jobs, and now they're refugees. And it's incumbent upon all of us to put pressure on our government to bring an end to this invasion so that those people will be able to return home. And it's also incumbent upon us as community members to reach out and support those refugees who will soon be arriving in our community. And so we've got to provide them with the supports that they need, to restart their lives. And this is really the lesson that's coming out of this pandemic. We're all in this together. The attack on the democracy in Ukraine is an attack on all of us. In the pandemic, we learned that the health of one of us is the health of all of us. And that's why we need to stick together. And that's why we need to work together. All of the problems that we face that were so, made so visible during the pandemic, the food, the homelessness, the people with the crisis in long-term care, people living without, not our frontline workers not making a livable wage. All of these things, the gun violence, all of these things are solvable. And that's what I want to work on in the next term. In the first term here, the focus was really on just helping people to get through the pandemic. That food program that I mentioned, feeding 1,500 people a week, organizing community vaccine clinics, organizing clothing drives with Project Recover, All of this has been really, really important work, organizing our neighborhood associations to push back against the bulldozing of our heritage properties. Organizing, for one of the projects around the environment that we took on was mandating bird safe windows for all new construction, because 25 million birds a year die from window collisions, and birds are an essential part of our environment. So all of this work, all of these problems that we face are solvable, and that's why I'm running again. That's why I want to have a second term in here, because this term was focused on the community, was focused on getting us through the pandemic. But now we can start to actually look at, what do we want to build? What kind of community do we build? How do we build the schools that we need? Because we need new schools, especially on the East Waterfront. We need to support our students to catch up with the curriculum that they missed during the pandemic. We need respectful long-term care. We need a livable minimum wage, and we need a community voice in our planning decisions. So that's why I'm running for a second term here. I hope you will support me, and thank you everybody for being here and being part of this meeting today.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Jazz hands for Chris Glover. Thank you for those amazing remarks and for everything that you're doing for this community. We're really fortunate to have you, the constituents in this. And now that the chat is open to the entire group, I'm seeing some messages come in. Chris, you're an incredible human being, says Elizabeth. Thank you for the comments, particularly about the pandemic and the war in Ukraine, says Roman. So feel free to share your thoughts in there. And I'll just pass it off to Louis Marsh, actually, who is an advocate with the Zero Gun Violence movement. Louis, if you could just say a couple words about the work that Chris has done around gun violence advocacy.
Yeah, my name is Louis March. I'm the founder of the Zero Gun Violence movement, working in the city of Toronto for over 8 years on this gun violence issue. In terms of Chris, look, he's incredible. I met him first when he was with the Toronto District School Board, and he was trying to get the school board to acknowledge gun violence as a public health issue. He's been consistent. He's followed up with his work with the city council. And in fact, the city council did vote to recognize gun violence and community violence as a public health issue unanimously, after not agreeing at all. His work has been consistent. His work in terms of public health, community health, people care, community care, the consistency in these areas is something that we've never seen in a politician for some time. And I hate to put this on Chris's shoulder, but it's important that he don't give up the fight and he continue. And the best way that we can do this is making sure and ensuring that he gets back into his office so that he can continue this work. His reputation, his actions, his words, they all match up. Politicians, there's normally a disconnect between what they say and what they do. With Chris Glover, we are confident that he will do what he said he will do, and he will be there for the people. He will be there for the community. He'll be there for the family, whether it's rain, snow, shine, or whatever. I've seen him do some stuff. I'm saying to myself, how the hell did you pull that one off? So Chris, I'm glad to support the work that you're doing. We want to ensure that you do get back to Queen's Park, and we want to ensure that the community that you have served so well continues to support and ensure that this happens. So thanks for this opportunity. Keep up the awesome work, and let's just make it happen. No excuses. We need to make this happen. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Louis, and thank you so much for the work that you're doing advocating to end gun violence and taking real stand on that. We definitely need change there. I'm wondering if we can get Len and Gwen spotlighted, Chris's parents. Hey, there they are. All right. Hey, Len and Gwen, would you like to say a couple words about Chris? We'll just unmute you here. One second. We just got to unmute you. You should get a request that's asking you to unmute in a second if you haven't seen it yet. Karika, tech folks, can we help out here?
Yep, I'm clicking the ask to unmute, so it should just be popping up on your screen.
So you just press OK there, Gwen. There you go. We can hear you now.
Okay. Well, we certainly endorse Chris. I don't know if you heard our donation. I had said 3,300 and I thought I was trying to unmute and I don't know if you heard me.
Oh, I'm so sorry. But we have got you, Len and Gwen. Thank you so much for your generosity. I'm glad that you're supporting Chris and thank you for raising such a wonderful person that's helping the community.
Well, we're very proud of Chris. And I just wanted, I was sitting here thinking that when I helped Chris campaign, when he ran for school trustee the first time, it was very, as was said, it was very interesting. It's interesting to campaign and educational. And I enjoyed it very much. But the second time was even better because almost everybody had heard of him and knew of him and had good things to say about him and things that Chris had helped them with. So it was very rewarding and I enjoyed it very much.
Hi, everyone. It's nice to see some familiar faces. I hope the ice is soon out of the lake there so Bob can get his canoe back in. And we love that Spadina-Fort York area, especially the restaurants. There's some wonderful restaurants there. And we're supporting Chris. We thank all of you for supporting.
That's amazing. Thank you so much, Len and Gwen. You guys are amazing. Yes, jazz hands for Len and Gwen for joining us. I'm loving it. I think you just warmed all our hearts with that message. Thank you so much. I will echo what Gwen is saying. The first time I canvassed in my life, I was very nervous as well, like canvassing, what does that mean? Or talking to people about, about politics. It's like, oh my gosh, is that scary? That, are people going to be bothered by it? But the fact is I changed my mindset. I realized it's not about, going to somebody's door to change their opinion or to debate them on policy. It's about me as a person. I care about housing. I'm concerned about homelessness. I'm concerned about climate change. You yourself, everybody can think about the issues that they're concerned about and just consider, okay, I want change. I want this to be resolved. I want action on these various issues. And, when you look at the party policies, the fact is, again, we've had liberal governments for a long time. We have a conservative government right now, and we're seeing it is not working. It has not been working, and we're not getting we're not removing wealth inequality. We're not really taking strong action on climate change. Indigenous people still do not have clean water on reserves. There's so many issues that we need to take real action on. And the fact is that I realized, hey, I'm just going to go talk to my neighbors and say, this is what I care about. What do you care about? And a lot of the times we're all similar people that care about similar things, and it's an opportunity to have a real conversation with our neighbors, like the pre-tech world days where we actually spoke to people in person and just say, hey, you know what, this is what I'm concerned about, and there's this guy Chris who's doing good work, and you should really consider voting for him and the NDP. And you'd be surprised how well that conversation goes and how much people appreciate that you as a volunteer just took your time to have that conversation. So I hope you do consider it. I hope you do have a chance to volunteer. As mentioned, those links have been sent. I'm going to send them all one more time right now. So there is a donation link, followed by the endorsement letter link, followed by the link to receive an NDP sign, and then finally a link to volunteer with Chris. So with that, I think that, Chris, would you like to just say some words? There's been a lot of generosity and support for you. And I'm thinking that you can kind of maybe wrap us up before we head into phone canvassing in 5 minutes.
Hey, thank you. You know what? I'm really moved. Thank you, everybody, so much for all the kind words. And it is an incredible group of people. I know each and every one of you, and I know the work that you've done in the for your community. So thank you for the vote of confidence. Thank you for the show of support. I really hope, we want to win this election. When I said 4 years ago when I was running, I didn't want to go. I'd learned as a trustee that you never go into a fight alone. You always make sure that you take your community with you. And this is what I've done over the last 4 years. And this is what I want to do over the next 4 years. So, when I'm running for this seat, I'm running for this seat for all of us so that all of our voices will be heard at Queen's Park, and so that we can really get some progressive changes made so that we can address, things like hunger and affordable housing. We can make tuition fees affordable. We can build the schools that we need. We can build the childcare centers that we need. All of these things are possible. They're completely possible. And it just takes us together as a community to achieve those. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you, everybody, for the support. And we'll see you out on the campaign trail.